My daughter claimed my beach house for her in-laws. Here's how I reacted. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. The voicemail was already playing when I pulled into my driveway. Chloe's voice was tight, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Mom, hey. So, Mark's parents are at the beach house already. They drove down early. Gail says she thought you gave us the code, and now she's upset because the upstairs bedroom is locked. Can you just unlock it remotely? And, maybe don't come this weekend. They need family time. I sat there with my hands on the wheel, listening to the ocean in the background of her message like it belonged to her. I'm Dana, 58, a school secretary who still packs my lunch, and that little cedar-sided house on Pelican Cove is the only thing I ever owned outright. I didn't buy it because I was rich. I bought it because I was exhausted. 20 years ago, when Chloe was 9, my late husband and I put every bonus and tax return into a rundown fisherman's cottage. We sanded floors ourselves, fixed storm windows, planted the dune grass so the place wouldn't wash away. After he died, I kept paying the mortgage alone, even when it meant second jobs and postponing braces. The house was our promise. No matter how rough life got, there would be one place we belonged. Chloe loved it too, until she married Mark last spring. Since then, she talks about hosting and our family beach traditions like she's reading from someone else's script. Mark's parents, Gail and Ron, are nice in the way people are nice when they want something. Gail hugs you for 3 seconds too long, calls you sweetie, and somehow you feel like you should apologize for existing. I called Chloe back. She answered on the first ring. Chloe, what do you mean they're already there? Pause. We talked about this, Mom. You said you were probably not using it much in September. So I told them they could go. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Like I was renting a kayak, not handing over the last piece of my life. I opened my mailbox and saw a printed HOA notice sticking out, my name underlined in red. My stomach dropped because I already knew it had to be about the house, and I didn't know why yet. I tore open the notice, and one line made my vision blur. Before I tell you what the HOA letter said, you need to understand the house the way I do. Pelican Cove isn't fancy. It's a quiet strip of sand 2 hours from the suburb where I raised Chloe. When she was little, we'd leave before dawn with a cooler and sunscreen that smelled like coconuts. She'd press her forehead to the car window watching pine trees turn into marshes. When we crossed the bridge into town, she'd squeal, I can smell it. The cottage sat on pilings, crooked as a smile. The first summer, there was a hole in the roof big enough to drop a basketball through. We tarped it until we could afford real shingles. Chloe and her dad painted seashells on the porch railing. He wrote her initials underneath so the house would always know you. After he passed, I'd go down in the off-season to patch siding and cry where no one could hear me. Eventually, I refinanced, paid it off early, and put the deed in a fireproof box in my closet. I wasn't strict for fun. I had rules to protect it. Don't lend keys without asking. Don't invite more than 6 overnight guests. No pets upstairs because of the old pine floors. And the bedroom over the surf porch stayed locked unless I was there. It held my husband's things and the last shirt of his that still smelled like cedar. Chloe never fought those rules. She used to defend them to her friends. But after she met Mark, her language shifted. You don't need to micromanage. We're adults now. Gail says you're holding on too tight. The week after their wedding, Mark clinked his glass beside me and said, Dana, you've done so much. Now it's our turn to make memories there too. I smiled, because what else do you do at your daughter's wedding? But there was something in his eyes, certain, like he was already walking through my front door. 2 months later, Chloe asked if Gail and Ron could use the house for a long weekend in September. I said sure, if they checked with me about dates. She giggled, you're the gatekeeper, Mom. And I thought it was a joke. Apparently it wasn't. And the HOA letter listed a new set of authorized residents. I read the line 3 times. Authorized residents: Mark Whitfield, Gail Whitfield, Ronald Whitfield, Chloe Whitfield. It was formatted like a routine update, the kind you make when you rent a place out. Except I hadn't rented it, and I sure hadn't authorized anyone. The letter said the HOA had received a change of occupancy form and a request for parking pass transfer. If I hadn't submitted it, I needed to call within 10 days or get fined. There was even a checkbox marked yes next to owner will reside off property during occupancy. I went inside, opened my laptop, and searched my inbox. Buried between school memos was an email thread I'd never seen, sent from my address to a Gmail I didn't recognize. Subject: Occupancy Update, Whitfield Family. At first I thought my account was hacked. Then I saw the signature. Dana Peterson. My exact name, typed the way Chloe does on paperwork. The body was simple. Please update the authorized resident list as attached. Owner will not be present through October. Attached was a PDF with my name printed under owner. The digital signature looked like mine if you squinted, but the strokes were stiff, like someone tracing a template. I called Chloe. She didn't answer. I texted, "Did you file something with the HOA?" 3 dots appeared, then vanished. She finally called back the next day. "Mom, don't freak out," she said. "Did you send HOA paperwork pretending to be me?" A pause. Mark drafted it, and I clicked send. Gail needed parking passes. It's temporary. That form says I won't be there until October. It gives your in-laws residency. You're making this huge, she snapped. You say no to everything lately. The house is supposed to be family. I heard Mark in the background, low and calm, and Chloe's voice instantly softened. We're all coming down Friday. Let's talk there, okay? I said yes, because I wanted to look her in the eye. 5 minutes later, a new text popped up from an unknown number. Hi Dana. We'll need the upstairs bedroom opened before we arrive. The unknown number was Gail. I knew because she followed up with a smiling emoji and a list. Could you have a baby gate for the stairs? Ron's knees are bad. We might swap the sofa for something lighter, the one there feels dated. Oh, and I invited my sister's family for Labor Day week. Hope that's fine. I didn't answer. I called my neighbor Pete, who lives 2 houses down year-round. Pete, is anyone at my place right now? He hesitated. Yeah. 2 older folks got there yesterday. And this morning a van from Shoreline Renovations. They've been hauling stuff in. A renovation van. Paint buckets, tools. Looked official. I called Shoreline. The dispatcher chirped. Oh, that's the Whitfield family. Quick refresh before guests. Living room repaint. New slipcovers. Swapping fixtures. Deposits in. Deposit from who? Mark Whitfield. $3,800. My throat went dry. Email the invoice and stop work until I confirm. She went quiet. We have a signed permission form from the homeowner. I'm the homeowner. 10 minutes later, the invoice arrived. Mark had checked owner-approved scope, with my name traced into a clumsy loop. In notes, owner out of town, family managing property. Like I was dead. I forwarded everything, grabbed an overnight bag, and drove to Pelican Cove before I could talk myself out of it. When I pulled up, my porch light was on in broad daylight. Gail's floral suitcase sat on my front step. Inside, my living room was half covered in drop cloths, and my mother's quilt was balled in a corner. Gail opened the door before I could knock, beaming. Oh good, you're here. Ron, Dana's finally home. I stepped past her and saw Ron in my chair, feet on my table, holding my TV remote like a scepter. The smell of fresh paint mixed with Gail's heavy perfume. I felt my pulse in my ears. I looked around for my locked upstairs door and noticed a new keypad on it, too. Hi, Dana, Ron said, without standing. We weren't expecting you till next week. For a second I couldn't speak. I just stared at his shoes on my table, the table I'd refinished myself after it warped in the hurricane of 2012. Gail fluttered behind me, hands clasped. Oh Ron, don't tease her, she scolded, but she was smiling. Dana, sweetie, we assumed Chloe told you. We're here for the month. The kids thought it would be easier if we got settled before the Labor Day crowd. The month. I let the word hang. Gail nodded like she was confirming a hotel reservation. Yes, and of course the upstairs room will be perfect for us. Mark said you were keeping it closed because you're sentimental, but I promised we'd treat everything with respect. That room is locked for a reason, I said. My voice sounded calm, but my hands were shaking. And nobody stays here for a month without asking me. Ron finally took his feet down, slow, like he was performing a favor. Dana, we drove 8 hours. We've already unpacked. The HOA knows we're here. Let's not make this awkward. A laugh bubbled up in my chest, sharp. The HOA knows because someone filed forms in my name. Gail's eyebrows shot up. Well, Mark handled all that. He's a doer. Mark isn't my husband, I said. He doesn't get to handle my property. Her smile flattened. You're being a little possessive, aren't you? This house is Chloe's future too. She's your only child. Why wouldn't you want her to share it with her new family? New family. Not me, not my late husband, not the life we built in these walls. I walked to the kitchen and opened the fridge. Half my food was gone, replaced by kale salads. On the counter sat a printed schedule titled Whitfield Beach Month. It listed dinners, visitors, and a girls' weekend I'd never heard of. My name wasn't on it. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. Mom, please don't embarrass us. Just be nice this weekend. I stepped back into the living room. I'm calling Chloe. Right now? We're sorting this out. Gail put a hand on my arm, light but stopping. Maybe let the kids enjoy their summer, Dana. You'll only push her away. Something in me snapped, not loud but clean. I pulled my arm free and said, then watch what happens when you push me. Ron glanced toward the hallway, and that's when I noticed my owner's closet door standing open. The owner's closet is my nerve center. Breaker map, spare bulbs, insurance papers, toolkit, and a shoebox of Chloe's childhood drawings. I keep it locked because storms taught me how fast things vanish when strangers come through. Now it was open, and the top shelf was bare. The fireproof deed box was still there, thank God, but my envelopes of receipts were gone. I faced Gail. Where are my records? She blinked sweetly. I tidied. Your papers were everywhere. I put them somewhere safer. You don't want guests seeing personal things. Where? In the upstairs bedroom, she said, like she'd moved a vase. My stomach hardened. You went upstairs? Just to look. Such wasted space. Mark said you keep it like a shrine. I don't mean that unkindly, but you can't freeze a house in time. I walked to the stairs. Gail tried to stop me. Dana, wait for Chloe. You're upset. I'm focused, I said and climbed. At the landing, the old brass knob on the upstairs door was gone. In its place was a keypad lock, shiny and new. I hadn't installed it. I hadn't even been asked. Ron's voice floated up behind me. Dana, don't do anything you'll regret. I pulled out my phone and called Chloe on speaker. Mom? She answered breathless. Who put a new lock on my upstairs room? A beat. Then Mark's calm voice filled the line. We did. For everyone's comfort. It's a master suite. That room has your father's things. It's just stuff, he said. We're family. Chloe rushed in, sounding scared. Mom, please. It's only for a month. We'll put everything back. I stared at the keypad until the numbers blurred. You promised me something different when we bought this house. Stop being dramatic, Mark said. You're making this hard. Family, used like a crowbar. I went back downstairs, past Gail's satisfied smile, and out to my car. In the glove box was the spare key to the utility shed, where Pete once told me to keep whatever makes you feel safe. Inside that shed was my smaller toolbox and a brand new deadbolt. I walked toward the front door with it hidden in my bag. If you're imagining me installing a lock while screaming, that's not what happened. I've been a mother almost 3 decades. I can keep my voice even when my insides are molten. I stepped into the living room and set the deadbolt on the counter. Gail's eyes widened. What's that for? I'm changing the front lock, I said. Today. The code was shared without my permission. Ron shifted in my chair. Dana, you can't just lock us out. I'm not locking you out. I'm resetting access. Then we'll talk about who gets it and when. Gail's smile snapped. Chloe gave it to us. We're her family. You're being petty. I met her stare. This is my house. You being here without asking is petty. Her cheeks flushed. She grabbed her phone and marched to the porch. I heard her through the screen door. Mark, you need to come. Your mother-in-law is losing it. She's threatening to lock us out. I walked out. Gail, hang up. Don't call me names in my own home. Ron stood, palms out. Dana, Mark told us you'd be away. He said you were fine with this. We aren't trying to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase impact, I said. My phone buzzed. A calendar invite from Chloe titled Whitfield Family Beach Month. Already accepted by 16 people I didn't know. In the notes, Mark wrote, Owner has graciously offered the home. Please respect quiet hours. Quiet hours? Pelican Cove only has those for rentals. I screenshot it, then texted Pete. Are cars coming and going all week? He replied instantly, yeah. 2 different families since Thursday. My chest went cold. This wasn't a visit. It was a rotation. I grabbed my laptop bag from the kitchen and opened it on the coffee table. A quick search of Mark's messages on the invite showed a shortened link. When I typed it in, a glossy rental page popped up with photos of my house, staged like a resort. The listing even had my name under host, like I'd approved every word. Ron's eyes flicked to his phone, and I knew something was very wrong. I didn't wait for Ron to explain. I clicked through the rental page, fingers icy. It was on a vacation home site I'd never used, with weekend prices set higher than I ever would have dared. Under about the host. A chirpy bio read, "Hi, I'm Dana. I love sharing our cozy family beach retreat." Availability showed the next 6 weeks blocked for Whitfield family, but gaps between were booked by strangers, girls' trips, corporate retreats, names I didn't know. Deposits were marked paid. "Where is this money going?" I asked. Ron looked sick. "Mark said you wanted to start renting to help Chloe and him save for a house. He told us it was your idea." I laughed once. Mark doesn't get to turn my home into his side hustle. Gail swept back in from the porch. "So you found the listing. Good. It's smart. You're alone now, Dana. The house sits here half the year. Mark has business sense. Chloe needs help. You should thank him." "Thank him for forging my signature?" Gail waved a hand. "No one's hurt. It's family money staying in family hands." "Hands that aren't mine," I said. Chloe arrived that evening with Mark right behind her, relaxed in a linen shirt like he'd walked out of the listing photos. Chloe hugged me too hard. "Mom, yes, the listing exists," she blurted. "Mark set it up so his parents could come without hotels, and maybe we could earn a little to cover upgrades. I meant to tell you if it worked out." "You meant to tell me after you used my name?" Mark stepped in smoothly. "Dana, this is temporary income. We're saving for a down payment. You always said you wanted Chloe secure. Not like this." "You're not losing anything," he said, and for the first time impatience cracked his smile. "We're improving the property. You'll benefit too." Chloe's eyes went wet. "If you shut this down now, you ruin everything. People already paid deposits." "Deposits paid to who?" My stomach clenched hard, suddenly. Mark's phone lit up with a bank alert I wasn't meant to see. The alert was from a bank app. I only caught the first line before Mark flipped his phone over. "Whitfield Holdings. Transfer received. $12,000. Whitfield Holdings. Mark works in marketing." Chloe's face tightened like she recognized the name. "What was that?" I asked. "Work stuff," Mark said. "Don't worry about it." "I'm the host on your listing," I said. "I worry about everything." Mark leaned back. "The bookings are locked. Canceling triggers penalties. We already used revenue for renovations. So here's the fix. You let us run rentals for 6 weeks, then we make it official." 6 weeks of fraud? He sighed like I was dramatic. "Family flexibility." I felt myself going floaty, the way I do right before I say something cruel. So I said, "I need a night to think." Chloe exhaled in relief. "Thank you, Mom." They went upstairs. I shut myself in my downstairs room and let the quiet settle. Then I did what I always do when I'm scared. I got organized. I screenshot the listing, the invite, the HOA forms, the traced signatures, Gail's texts, and the renovation invoice. I emailed everything to myself in a folder titled Pelican Evidence. At dawn, I called my insurance agent. "Hypothetically, if someone rents my place without telling you, am I covered?" His answer was blunt. "If the house is being used commercially and the carrier isn't notified, my policy can be void. One injury, one fire, and I would be liable." That wasn't a hypothetical. That was a lawsuit with my name on it. So I drove to the HOA office. The manager, Mildred, compared the occupancy form to the signature on my file and frowned. "This isn't yours," she said. "If rentals are happening, we have to open a case. You'll need to sign a statement today." An HOA case meant fines and a paper trail Chloe couldn't ignore. On my way out, Mildred added, "There's also a business license application tied to your address. Filed last week." A business license. In my name. I drove back shaking, walked into the kitchen, and found Mark texting with an easy grin. "Mark," I said quietly, "whose account are these rental payments going into?" He looked up, too calm. "Why do you want to know?" "Because my insurance is on the line," I said. "Because my name is on the listing. Because you forged papers." "Dana, you're spiraling," Mark said. "I'm protecting myself." Chloe walked in wearing my old college sweatshirt like nothing had happened. "Are we okay?" she asked, already bracing for tears. Mark slid an arm around her. "Your mom is threatening to call the HOA. I already talked to them," I said. "They're opening a case. If rentals continue, there will be fines, and if anyone gets hurt, I'm liable." Chloe's eyes went huge. "You what?" Mark's face emptied out. "No one's getting hurt. We screen people." "You can't screen a staircase," I said. Or a kitchen fire. Gail chose that moment to glide in with shrimp and a bright smile. Let's eat before it gets cold. Feeding everyone was her way of flattening conflict. Chloe nodded automatically, desperate for normal. Mark nodded too, because normal is how you keep control. At the table, Gail talked about revitalizing the property and future Whitfield photos on my porch. Ron stared at his plate. Mark kept answering questions for Chloe, correcting me gently like I was confused. I waited until Gail went to refill drinks. Chloe, can we talk outside? Mark cut in. If you're about to guilt her, don't. She's exhausted. Let her answer, I said. Chloe swallowed. Mom, please don't make a scene. We're trying to build something. If you keep fighting us, you'll push me away. There it was, the threat dressed as sadness. My heart cracked and my mouth almost said, fine, do whatever you want. Then my phone buzzed with a text from Pete. Police just knocked about a noisy rental. They said your place is listed too. I set my fork down. My hands were steady now, which scared me more than shaking. Chloe, I said quietly, this ends tonight. I wasn't sure if I meant her or me. The room went so silent I heard the fridge hum low behind us. Mark's eyes sharpened as if he'd finally found the real battle. I slept maybe 2 hours. At sunrise I walked the beach alone, letting cold foam bite my ankles until my anger stopped buzzing and turned into something harder. By 8 I had a plan that was boring on purpose. I sent a group text to Chloe, Mark, Gail, and Ron. Meet me in the living room at 10. Bring your phones. We're sorting ownership and rentals today. No emojis. No softeners. At 10, I laid everything on the table like an evidence board. Printed HOA forms with fake signatures highlighted, the renovation invoice, screenshots of the rental listing showing me as host, and the insurance email stating my policy would be void. I'd even printed Pete's text about police asking questions, because I was done explaining things without receipts. Chloe walked in first, eyes puffy. Mark followed with a coffee like he was strolling into a marketing meeting. Gail and Ron trailed behind, already defensive. I stayed standing. Here are the facts. Someone filed occupancy papers and a business license in my name. Someone listed my home for rent under my identity. That is fraud. It also voids my insurance and violates HOA rules. Mark opened his mouth. Let me finish, I said, and my own voice surprised me. Today I'm revoking the occupancy form. I'm notifying the rental platform that the listing is unauthorized. I'm changing all codes and locks. Any future stays here happen only with my written permission and a signed agreement. Gail scoffed. You can't cancel people's vacations. They'll sue. They'll sue the person who took their money. Chloe flinched. Mom, please. We can fix it quietly. Don't blow this up. I tried quiet, I said. Quiet got me forged signatures. Mark crossed his arms. You're overreacting. We were helping. Helping doesn't require lying. I slid one final paper toward Chloe. A spreadsheet Mildred from the HOA had emailed me that morning showing every booking, every payout, and the bank account tied to the listing. The account name was at the top in bold. Chloe read it, and her face drained of color. Mom, she whispered, what is Whitfield Holdings? Mark lunged for the paper, but I pulled it back. Answer her, I said. The payouts weren't going to Chloe at all, and I knew it. Mark finally spoke, stiff. Whitfield Holdings is a family account. A family account you didn't tell my daughter about. I asked. It's how I manage money for my parents, he said. They're retired. Things are tight. Chloe stared at him. Tight. You told me this trip was an anniversary gift. Gail's mouth opened, then shut. Ron stared at his hands. Mark's calm was fraying. Chloe, listen, he pushed on. The beach house was the fastest way to generate cash without loans. We were going to pay your mom a cut later. She wouldn't miss it. You didn't ask me, I said. You would have said no. He said it like gravity. Chloe looked back at the spreadsheet. How much has already been paid out? $27,000, I said, because she couldn't. Her eyes went wide. Mark, I thought this was for our down payment. It is, he said quickly. But my parents needed help first. The condo assessment doubled. Bills. Not medical, Ron muttered. Everyone froze. Gail snapped. Ronald, stop. He kept staring at the floor. Tell the truth. It was credit cards. The cruise, the dining, the remodel. We're behind. We're drowning. Chloe's face crumpled. Why didn't you tell me? Mark's jaw clenched. Because you worry. So I handled it. With my name, I said. Gail burst out. We're your elders. We sacrificed. Dana has a beach house just sitting there. One property should help family. Chloe looked at me, horrified. Mom, is that what they think? They think whatever Mark promised them, I said softly. Mark turned on me. You can afford this. You don't even use the place much. I'm keeping my parents afloat and building a future with Chloe. If you loved her, you'd stop treating the house like a weapon. I saw the path he wanted. Guilt, silence, more payouts. I looked at Chloe. Did you know he forged my signature? She shook her head, tears spilling. Then here's what happens, I said, and I hit report listing on the platform. The confirmation pinged. Host access suspended. Gail screamed, You ruined us. Mark leaned toward Chloe and hissed, Your mother just cost you your future. Chloe flinched like he'd slapped her. Mark, don't. No. Hear me. He snapped, voice rising for the first time. We were this close to a down payment, and you let your mom pull the plug because she can't share. I had never heard him talk to her that way. The mask didn't just slip, it shattered. Stop, Chloe said, shaking. You lied to me. You lied to my mother. You used her name. He looked at her like she'd betrayed him. I solved a problem no one else could. Your mom is obsessed with control. If she'd just trusted me. Trusted you to commit fraud? I said. He turned on me, eyes sharp. You want to destroy us? Fine. But you'll be the reason Chloe doesn't have kids, doesn't have a house, doesn't have a life. Gail jumped in, tears streaking. Chloe, sweetie, he was trying to protect us. You know how hard retirement is. Dana doesn't understand what it's like to be without. I almost laughed. I understand lack like a second language. Ron finally spoke, voice small. We shouldn't have done it this way. Gail rounded on him. Don't you dare. That's when Chloe stood up so abruptly her chair scraped. Everybody stopped talking. We all froze. She looked at Mark. Give me your phone. What? Your phone. Now. He hesitated. She held out her hand, eyes blazing. After a long second, he tossed it on the table. Chloe opened his banking app with a thumbprint he'd apparently taught her to use, scrolled, and went still. Mark, she whispered. Why are there transfers to something called Pelican Cove LLC? I didn't know that name either. Mark's face went gray. He tried to take the phone back. Chloe pulled away. You made an LLC? With my mom's address? He started talking fast. It's nothing. It's just for taxes. For taxes on a business I didn't agree to? I asked. Chloe looked at me, then at the house around her. Mom, I think he was planning to put the deed in the LLC. Silence hit like surf in winter. Mark barked, That's insane. I would never. Then explain why the LLC paperwork is signed by Dana Peterson. Chloe said, holding up the screen. My signature again. My name again. Another version of me. Chloe's voice broke. How long have you been doing this? Mark opened his mouth. And for once, he couldn't find the right lie. The next week felt like an aftershock that wouldn't stop. That night Mark packed a bag and left, slamming doors hard enough to rattle the windows. Chloe stayed. She slept downstairs, face to the wall, like a kid who didn't know where home was anymore. In the morning we went to Mildred at the HOA office. Chloe handed over screenshots from Mark's phone and signed a statement with her real name, not mine. Mildred froze the occupancy update and opened a formal rental violation case. She also gave us the county fraud number without me even asking. We filed an identity theft report. The deputy was polite but direct. Forging an owner's signature on HOA forms, business licenses, and LLC paperwork is a crime. I didn't want my daughter's husband in handcuffs, but I wanted him stopped. On the drive back, Chloe said quietly, I thought I was being a good wife. I didn't realize I was letting them erase you. I told her, love doesn't mean giving someone your spine. We changed every lock that afternoon. I paid Shoreline to undo the refresh Mark ordered and sent them the police report so their fake permission form wouldn't follow me later. The rental platform refunded guests. Gail called in alternating waves of sobbing and fury. I blocked her. Ron left one voicemail saying sorry in a voice that sounded old and small. Mark texted Chloe a long apology that somehow blamed me for overreacting. She didn't answer. 2 weeks later, Chloe moved into Rose's spare room and asked me to meet for coffee. She looked thinner, like grief had sanded her down. I'm not ready to file anything, she said. But I'm not going back until I know who I'm married to. We started therapy, one session for her, one for us. It hurt in the right places. By October, we drafted a simple agreement. Chloe can use the beach house 6 weekends a year, booked through me. No subletting, and no extra guests unless I'm there too. She signed without arguing. When she slid the paper over, she met my eyes. Mom, I'm sorry. I want to earn back trust. I believed her. I just didn't know if the man she married could accept that. And then Mark showed up at my door. He looked smaller than he ever did in those porch photo poses. No linen shirt, no grin, just a hoodie and red eyes. Dana, he said, can I talk to Chloe? She's not here, I said. And you don't step inside. He swallowed. I messed up. I was trying to fix my parents' situation and get a down payment fast. I thought it would calm everything down. Everything got louder because you lied. I know. His voice cracked. Gail and Ron are selling the condo. We're paying back the platform and the HOA fines. I'm in counseling. I'm sorry for using your name. I believed he was sorry in the way people are sorry when consequences finally catch them. I also believed that didn't earn him anything. I'm glad you're getting help, I said. But you don't apologize to me to get access back. You apologize because you understand what you did. He nodded, throat working. I do. I don't expect the house. I just want my wife. Then earn her trust with time and honesty. Not grand gestures. He left without arguing. That was new. Chloe and I are still rebuilding. Some days she's furious. Some days she misses him so hard she shakes. I don't tell her what to do. I just remind her she deserves a partner who doesn't need to borrow her spine. As for the beach house, I sit on that porch more now, even in cold months. I fixed the railing where the storm loosened it, and when I sanded the underside, I found my husband's tiny initials again. I cried, but it was the kind that says, I protected what you gave us. Here's what I learned for anyone navigating adult kids and helpful relatives. Love without boundaries becomes a coupon others cash. If someone needs your property, they can ask like an adult. Kindness isn't a contract. Put things in writing anyway. You can adore your child and still say no. I'm not proud it took police reports and therapy. I am proud I didn't trade dignity for fake peace.